Whitey, someone comes up to you and says, I really want to learn a carve jibe.
Well, that's the first problem. Well, they should be coming up to me and saying, I want to learn a gybe.
Exactly. All the skills you need in order to carve jibe are really many of the same ones you learn just doing light wind jibes. So that's where you've got to start.
Kit is so good these days that people can be planing and giving the carve jibe a lash within weeks of starting out, which is great, and it all seems to go okay until they get to about here, downwind, where strange forces suddenly eject them into a parallel universe. You see, the first half is quite instinctive. You just lean on the edge and surf the board round. But as you turn through the wind, suddenly there's a battle of forces. The rig tries to pull you to the outside while you have to keep the pressure on the inside edge and continually sheet out to present the sail to the wind and change and flip the rig all in the space of about 3 seconds. There's just too much to compute. Windsurfing and jibing in particular is all about rig and power control, and that's something which is far easier to master in lighter winds, where you can get a feeling of how the pressures change in the sail as you turn, and then learn to control them at a more reasonable pace. So this is surely a good moment to remind you of the key stages of the non-planing jibe. Now, not the gentle float it round beginner one, but a version which mirrors the timing and dynamism of the carve jibe. If there's more than a force 2, just before the jibe, tuck your front foot into the front strap and drop your back foot onto the centre line just in front of the back straps. Now these are the same foot positions as for the carve jibe and will give you a lot more control as the sail powers up and the board pivots round. Throw the rig forward and to windward on a straight front arm, at the same time slide the backhand right back on the boom. Now drop the hips back and to the inside so that 90% of the pressure is on the back foot and the nose starts to lift. Turn the head to look over the back shoulder, sheet in and drive that pressure through the back foot into the tail. Resist the sudden outward pull of the rig by holding the hips right to the inside and making yourself the centre of the circle. Sheet out as you turn to present the sail to the wind all the way round and keep turning until you're across the wind on the new tack. Holding the sail clew first, switch the feet. Twist the front foot out the strap first and then step the back foot right up to the mast foot to lower the nose and kill the rotation. For the rig change, slide the front hand forward on the boom right up to the mast. As you release the rig, keep looking forward out of the turn and let the rig swing away on a straight arm. As it rotates, pressure the heel of the front foot to hold the nose down and stop the board heading up. Pass the old backhand straight to the new side of the boom, then throw the rig forward and slide the hands back into their normal sailing positions before you sheet in. Let's quickly run that again and highlight a couple more points which are especially relevant to what's coming up. Don't bear away onto a run. Instead, initiate the turn from across the wind so you keep the circle tight and get a feeling for the board pivoting. It's mast foot pressure that drives the board round, so the more the rig is tilted over to windward and the harder you sheet in, the faster you spin. And keep the board flat. Do not carve. If you put it on its edge, it'll trip over. The less rail there is in contact with the water, i.e. the higher the nose, the quicker and tighter the pivot. And during the rig change, hold your upright body position. Imagine you're leaning your shoulders back against a wall. Let the rig come to you. Don't bend forward and go looking for it. Perhaps you've spotted already that there are more similarities between the non-planing and planing jibe than initially meets the eye. Freeze them just through the wind, and in both the hips drop right to the inside and the upper body turns outwards as the sail opens. And the timing of the rig and foot changes and the placement of the feet are almost identical. But most importantly, mastering the non-planing jibe gives you a few more tools, some get-out-of-jail cards if you like. Because although we all dream of continuously rolling out full hero planing carve jibes, they only can happen if wind and water play ball. But when they don't, and they usually don't, You'll have to blend planing and non-planing techniques to shape your turns and deal with what's in front of you. And that might mean using the rig to steer through the back half of the turn if you lose the wind. Or it might mean pivoting the board around if you need to turn tightly. Or you might mean coming out clue first if you lose balance and need to rescue yourself. They're all non-planing skills. But let's get back to Whitey's tip, which is, whatever the wind, just get out there and jibe. And when you've done that, jibe some more, because the more consistent your regular jibes become, the more success you'll have with your carves. And they should all start with stable beginnings.